You are listening to the Denver Community Media Podcast, for members by members, highlighting their contributions to our community. So, backstory,
Yeah.
right? Origin story. What in your past was like, I want to get into making movies, film, media?
So what kind of got me into it was when I was younger, I liked ninjas and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, things like that. And then I learned my dad always would tell me like think bigger about stuff. Like he would tell me like own an NBA team if I want to play instead of playing in an NBA. So when I thought about what I liked, I was like, oh, I can make those shows. But as a kid, I realized I had no clue what that really was. And I kind of forgot about it for a while, but then I came back to it when one of my good friends, he does photos and he inspired me to get my own camera. And after that, that spark got reintroduced and I was like, well, I'm here for now.
That's awesome. You're not the first person I've talked to, and myself included, where I was like really young and was like, that's what I want to do. But then I like kind of drifted away. And I think that it's okay to like take time away from things and like reconnect when the time's ready. And also, it's remarkable to me how like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are still like as popular as they ever were.
Like it is insane. Like just to see all the stuff, most of the stuff from my childhood is like just now starting to get prominent. And it's actually really amazing to see that like different anime, old TV shows that I saw as a kid are now like getting remade and redone. It's amazing to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
So currently, are there any projects you're working on that you want to tell us about? What's going on the creative side?
On the creative side, there's a current show I'm working on. It's a live stream with a pastor here in Colorado. He does his sermon every Sunday, but he also does his own podcast called Transformational Truth. So I've been working on that with him. I am now about to start working on a project in Honduras, my second one. I'm going back, so I'm going to make a travel documentary of myself this time. And yeah, that's like the newest thing in the project list right now.
Wow. Both of those are really great, actually. I'm like, whoa, he's working on cool stuff.
Hey, thank you. It doesn't feel cool all the time though. When you're doing the work, it doesn't feel cool, but
yeah. No, I've had this conversation where someone will be like, are you excited when we're about to start filming something? And I'm like, I'm actually not excited. But only because I'm now aware of how much work goes into filmmaking. And what's more important than me being excited is me being like prepared.
Yeah.
And now when I first started filmmaking, I'd be so like, oh man, I can't believe it. We're filming. This is going to be good. Let me get a picture of me with the shoulder rig. And now I'm like, this is going to be so much work.
Yeah. It's really hard to enjoy the moment of filming. It's great to enjoy the final product because it's like I think of the final product and I'm like, this is going to be amazing. But I get to the filming and it's like, here we go. All right, we got to do all this because that excitement kind of goes away because I notice when I get too excited or when I'm like, oh, wow, this is great, we're filming, then I notice I miss stuff that then affects the edit, that then affects my mental health. So I'm like, okay, let's not be excited. Let's be prepared and focused and then move from there.
Yeah.
But be excited when the final product comes out because then all the work's done.
Yeah. I feel like me and you are probably similar filmmakers in that sense because everything feels like just eating vegetables to me, like the writing, the filming, the editing, but the dessert is when it all comes together and that joke pays off or that emotional turn happens. and then we're there watching it, and I'm like, this is what I wanted. This is what I've been working towards this whole time.
Yeah, because you can see it in your head. That's the thing I love about being a filmmaker. Like, I can see things in my head, and I know there's a bunch of steps to bring it to life, but it's like just the fact that I can see it. That's all I needed. And then like there's already something in the world that I can pull. Okay, well that really happened, so now I can take what looked best from that and just improve on that.
Completely. I've likened it to like almost like being haunted.
Yeah.
I feel like as
Yeah.
filmmakers, we're like, we get these ideas in our heads and we're just need to see them out. We need to
yeah.
like live out this idea.
I would definitely say they haunt me because like there will be times where I'm like, all right, time to lay down, time to go to sleep. And it's like, all right, all these ideas, here you go. I'm like, they're all great, but okay, let me like get some rest. But when that one hits, that's when it's like really, really crazy. Because when it's like that one that I want to focus on is like prominent in my mind now, and I keep seeing it, it's like, okay, well now I have to do it, or I feel like I'm gonna go insane.
Yeah.
Not literally insane, but it's like I won't feel right if I don't do it.
Yeah. No, completely. Take me through what has been the creative process on this Honduras documentary. How did this come about, and how are you kind of like envisioning kind of making this?
So the creative process is like, I always think of what connects me the most to it, because if I'm not connected to it, I don't really want to do it. But as a kid, I always moved around, and I loved it. It turned into a love for travel, because I always loved like when you move into like a new house, that feeling is amazing.
Mhm.
It's like all the carpets are soft, everything's new.
New house smell.
The house smells new. It's all nice and cool in there. It never feels that cool ever again. But that turned into a love for travel. So Honduras is a place I'm going for a second time. Like the first time I went there working on a documentary, but it was on somebody else. And now I want to tell it from my perspective, because I don't think a lot of people realize how great travel is. So I wanted to turn that into a project that I can share with everybody else, to like inspire more people to travel and have that experience. So the process has just been like first times. So I've been thinking about a lot of like, how does it feel when you first do something on both ends? So I'm trying to tell it from that side, because it's really difficult to travel outside the country too, going through customs and stuff like that. So I want to tell those different parts of it. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, totally. So it's both like informative, but also like exploratory and the benefits of travel on a personal level, but also like the logistics of how do you,
like
you
it's like how to have fun responsibly. Cause it's like, be prepared for all the stuff that you have to do. But once you do all that stuff, this is like what you get is turquoise waters and beach time, and you get to chill. So yeah.
Right. Reward.
Like
the hard work and then the reward, both in film and in travel.
Yeah, because it's not going to be easy to film everything. But it's like just planning out, because you're not like, I try to focus on like, I won't be able to get everything. What do I need? And it's like, okay, I'll need stuff at the airport. I'll need stuff before the airport. And how do I film that stuff? And then how do I film once I get there? Because I'm not going to, like this time I'm going for leisure purposes, not really leisure, but I'm not going on working on a project for somebody. I have the freedom to work on something myself because of something I did. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm going to look straight into camera for this.
Got you.
As someone who traveled recently and went to Denver International Airport, please leave early. I was almost 10 minutes away from the last two flights. I gave myself an hour, and that wasn't enough. You got to give yourself like 2 hours at DIA now, so that everyone knows.
Oh yeah, I'm leaving from DIA too. So that, oh my goodness, bruh. It's like, to give everybody a description of how slow it is. if you don't have, first of all, get TSA pre-check. If you haven't got it, get it. Get it. That's all I can say. But there are
We're not
9.
sponsored by the podcast, by the way.
Oh yeah, we're not sponsored. But definitely go to the DIA. It's a beautiful airport. It's just,
It is beautiful.
give yourself some time. But if you don't have TSA pre-check, there are 9 TSA pre-check lines that people can go to, and there is one standard boarding. One. And millions of people go to this airport.
Millions. No, it is
like,
rough.
Like, you will see a line wrapped around the carousel where you pick your bag up. That's going to security.
Well, you know what's funny is I actually just started traveling a lot for the first time in my life this year. So my main experience was leaving DIA. And I was like, man, airport travel's crazy. And then once I got on enough planes back to Denver, I was like, it takes like 10 minutes. I just got back from Minneapolis. We were in line for like 10 minutes in the security check. And I was like, oh, DIA is its own beast. And I didn't realize that.
Man, DIA changed my life because I used to think the same thing. I used to think airports were stupid busy all the time. And then I went to Bellingham's airport in Washington, and it was like, it took me literally like 2 minutes to go to TSA. I was like, oh, there's no way. And then I went to Seattle's airport, and I was like, dude, just all big airports, you guys just don't know how to get people through here or what?
Right.
It's like all the small ones. Like I left out of Dallas last week, 10 minutes in security. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God.
Thank you for tuning in to the Airports podcast. My favorite airport is, there's a small one in Alamosa, Colorado, and you could take a plane from Denver to Alamosa and you're in the air for 20 minutes. It's the funniest thing ever. And you get let out, and the airport is like the size of this podcast studio. And they bring your baggage and they just roll up a big window and put your bags on like a slide. It is like my favorite thing in the world. I have a friend who I go there and I visit her, and it's like amazing.
Yeah, I gotta find that airport. It's in Alamosa, you said?
Alamosa. So it's like, like a 4.5 hour drive or a 20-minute flight.
Hey, I'm gonna have to do that just to do it, because that sounds amazing.
Okay, it's time for us to get into the hard-hitting questions.
Oh, snap.
I like to start with the rough side, and then we end on the more positive side.
Sweet.
As a filmmaker, what do you think is the biggest challenge to you, or what do you feel like you could improve on the most?
I think the biggest challenge is funding. Like finding funding for the projects without doing a lot is like, you can't, like, it's more a lot of like emails, a lot of phone calls, a lot of like, why is my story great? And that is like the biggest thing. Or even explain, like when you're working on a project, explaining to somebody why you charge what you charge. Like that is the hardest thing for me, is because like I understand, like I understand you're spending your money, but it's like you're spending it because, but explaining that is like, you're spending it because it's needed, not because like I'm putting it in my pocket. It's because like what I need in order to make this as great as it can be, I know what it requires, and it's just not free.
Yeah, I'm going through the exact same thing right now, where I've changed my mindset to, you're not paying me for the day, you're paying me for the years I've spent learning this.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of time that was very stressful and a lot of failure where I was learning, and that's what you're paying for. So then suddenly when the day rate seems high, it's like, no, I've been doing this for years to make it look simple and seamless. But if you want to see what it's like when someone is charging a low rate, then you'll see how not seamless and easy they will make it for you. And then you have to reshoot it. And then you come back to me anyways. So yeah, what are we doing here?
You literally end up like having, like, I always feel like I sound so rude explaining it, but I'm like, you'll spend more money working with someone who charges less money than just paying me the money up front. It's like, I'm going to make it smooth. Like the easy stuff that you see, that's why you're paying me for that, because it's going to look the same. Like I always see people getting BTS on their phones and stuff of like their film projects. And it's like, if you knew how much all that stuff costed, you would pay more attention to the budget. Cause it's like, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's the hard part. Now, what would you say is your strength as a filmmaker? And, yeah, like, is it, what part of it that you just know is like, that's your jam?
My strength as a filmmaker, color grading. Cause, I just love the look of things. And it's like, I could have not worked on the project at all, but I can watch it and know like, oh, it will look fantastic if it was this color, or this is great. And I think I'm also like a skill I have, I'm very resourceful. So it's like, I'm not going to require too much help from anybody when it comes to like figuring out what I need. I may need to go ask people for certain help, but like getting the information and the different things that I need in order to figure out where to go is usually a good strong point for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would say I'll chime in. My weakness is sound, and trying to get clean sound as a one-person band is something that I'm realizing I can't do. So I've gotten better at it using wireless mics and like staying on headphones.
Oh yeah.
But what I'm trying to kind of like manifest, even in the DCM community, is someone who's interested in sound that can help us on set and just be like our sound expert. So that's one place that I definitely know I need improvement on.
I may know a guy. I'm not going to lie to you.
Okay.
I may know, because the show I work on with the pastor, this guy, he does the sound for me. So like, because imagine like, have you run a live stream before?
Oh, I've run live streams. Well, the pandemic, I had to learn how to start doing virtual keynotes on all platforms.
Oh, so
in 2 months' time, they were given to me, and I was just taking jobs, and it was the biggest live stream learning curve ever. So yes.
Yeah, and it's like, so just the video for live stream is enough. That's like enough to focus on, and then to focus on the audio too is like, and I was doing that by myself at first, and then we got somebody to do just the audio, and I was able to just improve like that, because I'm like, you guys don't understand, setting up audio and then video and then connecting them is already a task in themselves.
Right.
But it's like having somebody just to do audio saved my life.
Yeah. And then I think my strengths are like definitely like I can't wait too long on this. I think that I definitely have a knack for persistence. So like my comedy show I just finished, we started it 4 years ago, but I just did my first pilot. But the ability to not give up and to keep improving, I think, is one of my kind of like strengths. And then also kind of just learning about like lighting. I think that's another one. And back to color grading, this pilot I produced was the first time that we shot everything in RAW. So we got the Blackmagic cameras.
Ooh, snap. I know that looked amazing.
Oh, yeah. And I was like, oh, I can do coloring. And in my one-man bandness was like, I can do this. And, I know how to up contrast and like, change the saturation.
Yeah.
And then I started working with Nicholas Orris over at Orris Productions, shout out. And I sat with him every session, and just watching him work and being able to change moods of scenes to even things out. Because even as you film throughout the day, subtle light changes, they bounce off objects. And even though nothing drastically changed, colors move around in ways that you're like subconsciously picking up. So he would clean up a scene and the scene would like feel better, because there's not these like subtle little distractions.
Yeah, it's like your eyes move right to where they need to move. And then when they move there, it's like soft enough to want to like keep your eye there.
Yeah.
It's insane, because like just a little bit that I've learned in color grading and changing the mood and how things look in photos. Like you can literally shoot the same scene and color grade it two different ways and it'll convey completely differently.
Totally.
And that is what blows my mind the most about it. Cause like it's such a looked over step because when we watch it, we're just like, this looks amazing. But you don't realize like even from how it was color graded to how it was exported to what it was put on, all of that matters in the editor, color grader, all of that. We take all of that into mind for whatever you watch it on, whether it be your phone, TV, all that. It's insane.
Yeah. And like as like organizations or companies get built bigger, that's a separate department for a reason because it's its own level of expertise. It's its own thing that no one else really can like step into. So it's like, yeah, you have your director, which is a position, you know, your actor's position, sound people.
Mhm.
And it's so cool to like personally to be growing as a filmmaker, to be like, oh, we need a separate person to do this. We need
Yeah.
their years. And then when everyone's bringing their years of expertise, that's what makes a good product where it's like, oh, we're the top of our field and we're all
Yeah.
friends and we're all working together.
Man, it is community amazing. Like having people around that are just as smart, but it like just as smart in what you do, but like have their own expertise as well is, I just love that. Like it's amazing because that's I feel like that makes you more successful in what you do anyway.
Oh, completely. And the transfer of knowledge of just simple stuff of like, how do you do this? And for someone to just be like, here, let me show you versus like having to search online and then just casual transfer of knowledge where you'll just be talking and they talk about something you didn't even think of. It takes it out of that unknown known category. There's like the things you know, the things you don't know, and the things you don't even know that you don't even know.
Yeah, exactly.
And it drags it out of that third one. Like, for instance, the other day I was like, hey, maybe we could shoot day for night. And he was like, huh, yeah, let's think about that. And then we all started researching how to shoot a scene. And instead of shooting it at night, how do we shoot it like day for night, you know?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I was so inspired by Nope. They did that whole movie day for night. And when I found that out, I was like, oh my God.
Man, that's another thing, like definitely off of the transferring of knowledge of things that you don't know. Like hearing the terms that people use, I'm like, oh dang, I never thought of that. That's what, and then I connect like, oh, that's what that means. I knew that was a thing, but like I didn't know how to do that. And you guys would talk about it casually, or somebody would just talk about it like, oh yeah, you didn't know that? That's crazy.
Have you thought about doing this?
It's like, have you ever, like, oh, you didn't know that? Well, try this. And it's like, this is exactly what I needed. And I do love the fact that like people can, like, I like to be just shown, like, rather than just told about, or like, I can research it, but it's just so much nicer when somebody can show you, like, just a little bit of color grading and stuff that I've known somebody took the time to show me some first, and that helped me understand so many other things better, and it just pushed my learning that much further.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So speaking of community, what services do you kind of utilize here at Denver Community Media, and why are you a member? What benefits are there?
Okay. So I use the podcast studio, use the main studio. The main studio is probably my favorite, but you mainly use it for talk shows and podcasts right now. But yeah. As for being a member, I joined because this is like literally I walked in and I saw so many things that I wanted as a kid. Like I wanted to have a room I walk in and you just see TVs and computers. And when Apple first came out, I was like, oh yeah, I want a room full of MacBooks. There's literally a room full of MacBooks. You have access to all the laptops, cameras. There's literally just everything that a filmmaker would want is here. You have your lenses, you have your cameras, you have editing laptops, you have podcasting equipment, like anything sound equipment, anything you really need to make a film, here is like a space that, one, is not expensive at all, and two, very accessible to make what you want to make, at least get you started into whatever you really want to do without you having to break the bank. And on top of that, there's people here that you can talk to every day that have been doing it for years. So I love the fact that there's literally a place that, like, I ask Austin all the time about color grading stuff, and found books from him that I never even heard of, like the color grading handbook, literally one of the main books you're going to read ever if you want to be a color grader. And yeah, he still refers to it to this day, but he's like, you can come in here and read it if you want to. So just things like that. Like, this place is amazing. It's literally a filmmaker's heaven. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Completely. I also think that it's like a really good third place. Have you ever heard of the idea of a third place?
No, what is that?
It's like there's work, home, and a third place. So sometimes people like will choose a coffee shop or a bar with their friends.
Mm-hmm.
And especially these days with people working from home, like work and home have collapsed, and people need a third place to basically not go crazy, or at least I do. And I'm excited for us to start having regular kind of stuff, like First Friday having something, or even this show, I think could be like a regular thing. And just that way people can be like, let me go pop by Denver Community Media and just see like who's hanging out. I think that would be awesome. And I think that's what we're trying to build.
Yeah, I love that idea. Well, literally, you just gave what I was thinking a name, like a third place, because that's how I would look at it. Like, it is really like, I want it somewhere I can come and just hang out, and like, just if I wanted to just be in the space of being a filmmaker too. Like, when anybody says you get into anything, you immerse yourself, and it's like, okay, well, basketball players go to the rec center, coffee drinkers go to coffee spots. And like, football players go to the football field. Everybody has their place where they immerse themselves. This is a place where you can immerse yourself. So
Completely. Like, so let's say someone walks in and they're like, oh, I've wanted to make films. Javon, how do I get started? What advice do you have? Someone, maybe they just have their phone. That's it. How do they get started?
Okay. First things first, you gotta get your mind right, because everybody's gonna tell you everything that you need and why everything sucks. So just don't listen to anybody first and foremost, because let me retract my statement, because a lot of
the record. Break the law and don't listen to anyone.
You know what I'm saying? Yes. I'm going to say rules were made to be broken.
Your political career is going down the drain. In 10 years, when you run for mayor, this is going to emerge. And
hey, who knows? I might end up as the mayor.
I'm friends with the mayor, everyone. I want you to know.
Hey, well,
vote for Javon. 2034? I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that good? Yeah. I forget the cycle.
2034. So. I guess.
Well, you have my vote.
Whenever the next mayorship that I apply for comes up, that's when I'll run. But I would say, just to really get started, is like, keep a healthy mindset, because everybody will tell you what's gonna suck and why you shouldn't do this and why this isn't good. So that first, and just start looking at things that you like to make. Like, what are things that you love? Now, how do you put that on camera? Like, how best do you feel putting that on camera? Because like, if you hate it and you hate it going through it and all that, it's not going to look good. Or it's not going to feel good when it's finished. It's going to feel just kind of awkward. Like, it's not going to feel, it's just going to feel awkward. So kind of pick things that you love, pick things that you like, and then just grab any camera. And I would say anything between 24 to 70 millimeters whatever kind of camera, doesn't matter the f-stop, none of that stuff, just that, start filming. And just
I
like,
love that as advice. Don't shoot your first short film on a 100mm zoom lens. Nothing
do
will
it.
work.
It's like if you do 24 to 70, you know what I'm saying? Like that's pretty much like our eyes basically see 40 meters. So anything 20 to 70 is a good range that won't look weird to people's eyes and won't look weird to you as a first time filmmaker. So if you don't know anything, you're just completely starting, any camera, 24 to 70 millimeter lens, doesn't matter the f-stop, write your ideas down and start filming them.
That's solid advice.
Yeah, I try to give people like, okay, well, there's something I should go get. What should I have? And then now I can look for it. But yeah, even if you just have your phone shoots 24 to 70 millimeters.
Oh yeah.
So like turn it horizontally, start filming. Use the 1, 2, and the 3. Don't use the 3; it kind of looks trash. But use the 1 and the 2.
3 definitely drops in quality.
Yeah,
I'll piggyback off yours of when you're first starting out too. When it comes to equipment, consider buying it used first, because a lot of first time filmmakers make the mistake of like, I'm going to buy the highest end camera and that's what's going to unlock it. But that doesn't actually unlock creativity. And like, yeah. And then people like don't ever end up making their film, and then they end up selling their equipment and just losing money. So I think it makes more sense to be on the beneficiary side of that and buy it from someone who couldn't utilize it and get good at it, starting simple, and then work your way up to higher quality equipment. That's my advice.
Yeah, definitely always consider renting, because like you may not have $2,000 to get the G Master 24 to 70. It's more than $2,000, but you might not have that money, but like you can find like $70 and rent it for 2 weeks.
Right. Or even join Denver Community Media, use some of the Sony A7S. I think they're 2s or 3s. I'm not doing a good job plugging this.
Use the A7. We have an A7S2. I
That's
believe there's an A7. No, we do have 2 A7S2s, but that was one of the cameras. That's one of the Sonys I started with. And
yeah.
I love that camera. Like I still to this day love that camera. So
yeah,
it's like, come here, pay for an all access membership. Voila.
Yeah. Find people to connect to be on your crew and start filming.
Yeah, just come pick up stuff, start filming, and even ask Austin, Jason, anybody here, like, hey, how do I make this film? And they'll help you put it together. So it's like, there's really not even an excuse to not be a part of this. Cause it's like, oh, I want to be in photography or films or anything. Like, just come here.
Yeah.
You'll even run into people.
Yeah. Like today. Look at this. This is magic.
It's movie magic here.
We met on the shoot like 2 weeks ago, a week ago.
Yeah. We were doing the Sunday sessions.
Yeah. And then we clicked and I was like, hey, come on the podcast. And
yeah, I'm like, what? This is my second podcast, but first like video experience.
Right.
It's actually like being on this side is weird.
Well, hope you had fun on your second but first official video podcast.
Thank you.
Is there where can people find you on the social medias? And is there anything else, a burning desire, something that you'd like to add that we didn't cover?
No. I would say just one thing. Kind of just do your own thing and try to figure out what that own thing is. I'm still trying to figure out mine. So yeah, don't be afraid that if you don't know what it is right now,